Hi there, and welcome to today's episode. Today, we will be talking with Kamina Fulwood, who is an energetic alchemist, health visionary, spiritual mentor, and all around a wonderful, positive, lovely human being. Kamina is a master energy chemist who transforms lives by calibrating your energy, your nervous system, and soul alignment to unlock the limitless flow of vitality, purpose, and abundance. In today's conversation, we talk about how did Kamina discover her powers, how did she lean into her healing, but also about some practical, very simple tips and tricks how we all can find more alignment, tap into our energies, and possibly even break some of the unhelpful trauma chains. So, buckle up because this is a wonderful, positive, energetic episode.
But before we start, I just want to remind you about our newsletter. Please do sign up or share the newsletter with friends or colleagues that you have. The link is in the description below. We also have our amazing gold nuggets, which we put onto Patreon. Patreon is a new place that we are building up and growing. And this is where we put old snippets, old advice, old tips that we get from guests that we've had a while back, but it's also a place where we put these amazing gold nuggets that we get. And after having listened to Kamina, you will understand how succinct and a bench press of a gold nugget she gave us. And it was amazing. And do subscribe, do press the notification button just so that you get reminded when we send out a new episode. Share, like, comment, everything that you can just to let us know how you're getting on, what you're up to, but also to get our episodes and to help us to grow our channels. We really appreciate your support and your help. But now, let's get on with our beautiful conversation with Kamina.
Hi there. Hi, Kamina. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I've loved watching other podcasts that you guys have done.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for, making the time. We are calling across different time zones. You're over in Australia, so we're figuring out morning, evening routines. So happy that we managed to get you on call and have a chat. But before we dive in, could you tell us and our listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and maybe give us a little bit of a hint of what topics we might get into in our conversation today?
Okay, well, I'm a energetic health practitioner. So basically, I'm a transformation leader, and I've been innovating in the health industry. And I'm also a teacher. I'm just releasing a course, a program. It's a training ground called Soul Flow Self Mastery Training Ground. And that's for people who really want to go to the next level and step into fully embrace who they are. So I've been doing this for a bit over 10 years. I've had all kinds of weird and wonderful and exciting things happen with me. I've helped people come out of comas. I've helped people have a woman who had 80% plaque in her heart and went and got an x-ray after having some sessions, and it was down to 12%. And doctors say that's impossible. How did she do that? So I've had some pretty amazing things happen over my journey, and it's just been incredible. Mm.
Wow, what a strong start. And we're already touching on one of the themes we love here in the podcast, and is the ability of us to hear ourselves and the ability with support of others to really tap into our innate healing powers. But I would love to go a little bit back in your journey to how did you discover that you have this passion and talent and skills and abilities? What were the first signs and how did you then went on nourishing them to really become, the healer that you are today?
Well, I guess the first memory I have of it is when I was really little and I was in the bathtub and I saw this spider crawling on the wall and I looked at it, and I was like, I just had this thought, right? I don't know where it came from. I was like, I think I can make that spider fall just by a thought, right? Weird thought. And then as soon as I had thought that, the spider fell. And I was like, wow. I wasn't scared or, excited. I really recognized that it was a profound moment in my life. And it was from that moment, it kind of just stuck with me, this little spider. It became my little hidden guide. And every time because I was like, well, how did I do that, right? Because I was like, what did I do? I mean, that was, I'm just was this little kid. I was like, what happened? And so every time something happened that gave me insight into how energy worked and insight into how healing or transformation worked, anything like that, I just remembered this little spider. So that's how it became this guide throughout my life. And then it was, about, I don't know, 13 years ago or so. I don't know, it's a long time ago. I was living with a friend, and she said to me, you've got to go to the Mind Body Spirit Festival. And in Australia, it's one of those festivals that have, like crystals and tarot readers and, the whole kit and caboodle. And I went, oh, okay. Sure. And the next day she said, did you go to the festival? And I went, no, I didn't. And she goes, you've got to go. And I went, oh, okay, I'll make sure I go. Anyway, so that day I went to the Mind Body Spirit Festival and I saw this stand there. It was for kinesiology. If you don't know what kinesiology is, it's an energy modality. And I looked at it and I went, oh, I've always wanted to, learn how to do kinesiology. And then I was like, what? I don't think I've ever heard of it. And so that was like really weird to me as well. So anyway, I went over to this stand and I tried, like I had a 20-minute session or something, and it was like so powerful. And because up until this point, I'd had all kinds of issues with my body. My because I did lots of martial arts, taekwondo, when I was younger. I was Australian champion in taekwondo. So it pretty much messed up my body. And so I couldn't stand for longer than 10 minutes without being in excruciating pain. And and then I just had, my body was just weak. Like my heart was, like and I had depression. I had, the whole works, right? And so I tried this and it was so powerful because I tried everything up until this point. Nothing was really helping me. And this really worked. And I went, oh my God, I've got to learn how to do this. And it was a school. So I signed up and I booked myself into the school. And that's kind of where it all started.
Oh gosh, what a journey and what a story. And I love that, you are willing to share that you had some issues, that,
Loads
it
of them.
came through, not being perfect and not being, already enlightened and feeling like, everything. It came through. You had some challenges. Your body was struggling, your health was struggling, your mind was struggling. And obviously, you had something in you pulling you there, and you had some people who probably knew that, but just taking the first step and looking at the signs and really doing the work. I think it's so important for us to acknowledge, like, it's not like it happens one day, poof, you're this person who has it all figured out. It is a journey. It is, takes time. And I would love to then chat a little bit about how then this journey of you signing up for the school, how it really helped you to then, heal and become who you are. And what were the lessons, maybe other modality, maybe some techniques, maybe just some other aha moments that really helped you step into your power and then start working towards creating and using the specific approach and modalities and tools that you're using, because we talk with lots of healers, lots of energy people, with lots of mind, body, spirit modalities, but everyone is different and everyone has slightly different twist to what they do and how they do it and why they do it. And that's why I think it's so beautiful to have these conversations, so we can learn about, why you came to certain path, what led you there, and then how you help others, how that it all crystallized into the way you help others.
Okay, great question. Okay, lots to flesh out there. Okay, beautiful. So I guess when I was studying kinesiology, it was a 2-year course, and I was in the class, and it's a very intricate modality. You've got to get very specific things right, otherwise you could be doing something different to what you're hoping to do. And I really just excelled and picked it up really easily. And the main reason I did was because I gave myself permission to fuck up. I gave myself permission to get it wrong. Everyone else was trying to do it perfect, and I didn't care about that. I was just enjoying doing it, and I just was like, well, I've never done anything like this before. How could I possibly expect myself to be perfect at this? And by not being perfect, I, was great at it. I think also, if I'm really honest, I think, I've had lots of past lives where I've done this type of thing. So the memories of that, the memory of all of that came back to me in the learning of doing it. It's like people are like, oh, you've got to remember who you are, but you've got to have a trigger to remember who you are. You've got to take action. People kind of just sit back and wait for, oh, it should all just come. No, you've got to take, aligned action. It's really important. So I guess, the first thing is don't try to be perfect. But then along my journey, I like a lot of people in the scene, do one thing and then they do another thing and then they go to another thing, and they don't master anything, and they wonder why it's not working for them. Well, I really dedicated myself to the art of kinesiology. And I came to this point one day where I was just like, you know what? This is really slow and clunky. And it's peeling off one layer at a time. And if I have to peel off one layer at a time, just for me alone, I'm here for like centuries. I'm like, oh, this is not going to work for me. I don't know about you, but I had centuries worth of layers. So I'm like, okay, there's got to be a more powerful and effective way of doing this. And so I have this gift. And what it is I'm ridiculously curious, and I was seek wisdom, seek, understanding how everything works. But on top of that, this is where the gift comes in. I am able to really see through everything so crystal clear. So I can see what's fluff and what's not. And in doing that, I went out in search of different ways of going about it. And I looked out there, and I tried lots of things. And I remember a friend had done some course. It was like a $10,000 course or something. And she came and she told me about it, and in like 15 minutes. And I said, I think I can do that. And, I don't know how long she'd spent learning this. And I said, here, let me give it a go. And I said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And she went, you're right. And so I did it. And she went, oh my God, you just did that. So this is where my gift comes in. I can pick up things really quickly, but I can also tell, like I said, what's fluff and what's not. So I went out there, I looked at all these different modalities, and I went, you know what? 90% of most of the modalities, look, I'm sorry to say this, I know this is people are gonna be happy with me, they're fluff, you know. They're most of it is not what's useful and relevant and effective. So I took on the effective bits because there are definitely some amazing elements in there. So I took on all of these and I got downloads. You know, I had thousands of client sessions and downloads from source because I was connecting directly to source. And so I created my own modality. And then one day I met someone who had an ancient Egyptian a way of doing things, because those ancient Egyptians, they knew a thing or two, right? And so I, tried what this person was doing, and it was really great. It was very similar to mine. And I've got to say, I was a little bit chuffed that what this little thing that I had created was, somewhat comparable to what the ancient Egyptians were doing. So, but I've got to say, this was actually a better way of going about it. So I took that on, and then I in taking that on, I even got more downloads. So I've gone on to create what I've got today, which is Body Flow Energetics, and now the Soul Flow Self Mastery Training Ground, which is really thorough, because I was like, okay, what I'm doing, my modality, it's got pinpoint accuracy and gets right to the core of what's going on. So it unravels wherever it came from and unravels it all within you. But I felt there was some gaps, which is the alignment issue, the full embodiment issue. Most people aren't embodying because they actually just don't know how to do it properly, which is all about the nervous system. It's about, because we adjust our energy, right? And it's our nervous system that helps us to fully integrate it. So if you've got trauma in your nervous system, which we all do, right? Because it's a pretty crazy planet. And you're not going to embody all of this. So you're going to be out of your body and not very grounded. And have all this anxiety and stuff. So I had to then, so it's been a journey. It's like I've picked up little bits. I've gone, oh, this is missing. And it's so, that's kind of been the journey. It's just realizing where the gaps are and going and seeking that. And so, and in that journey, I wanted to save people all the, pain and heartache and effort that I've really dedicated. My life was all about this, and it was a lot. And I don't have kids, so I was fortunate enough to be able to spend the time doing it. Whereas if people had kids, there's no way they would be able to take the journey that I've taken. So I want to give them an approach, a way of going about this to save them all the hassle that I've done, to give them a full, not just a little bit here, not just piecemeal. What's a complete way of going forward? And that's been my focus, and that's what I'm about to launch, and I'm really proud of it, actually.
I mean, humans are amazing, and we don't even realize how amazing we are. I mean, like you brought up the ancient Egyptians. I mean, they knew things that we have lost the skills, even with all our technology and, wonderful stuff that we have. We've lost so many of the skills that the ancient Egyptians had. So it's amazing how you've brought that in and worked with somebody who's had, been or experienced the ancient Egyptian way of doing something. But we are, as humans, there's so much about us, like you said, that we don't actually realize. And so many of us do live out of balance. We're not balanced inward, we're not balanced outward. There's a lot of unbalance with us, stresses, rushing around, trying to deal with life, work, mortgages, whatever it is. There's all these stresses that come on. but then there's also just the way that we brought up. We're not taught on, what skills have you got? What, there's so much more to us. We are narrowed down as we grow older put into these little boxes that we have to be in, and we are not taught about aligning ourselves or grounding ourselves, or wow, that's a skill of yours, really enhance it, and all these things. I'm going to use that word. It's early in the morning for me, so all these things are what you've collected, and it sounds like you've followed your gut, you've followed your yes, you've had a bit of prodding from friends saying, go to that festival, go there. But you followed yourself, you followed where your path has led you, and giving yourself that permission to follow it. Because a lot of people do that. They see that pathway and it's like, oh no, that's not the box I've been told to go into, so I'm going to go that way. And then they wonder why they're ill or unaligned, or they have discomfort in their lives, because so many people don't follow the way or the path that's in front of them. So with all that, can you explain a little bit for listeners who don't necessarily know what kinesiology is or energy work is or anything? Can you explain it a little bit to help our listeners, especially newer listeners who've maybe not been along with us? Is what does that entail? What is that? It's I know this really comes under the woo-woo path, and it's like, oh no, no, can't have that. But what we love is our guests to really explain it in their own words, and to help our listeners to understand. It might not be for them, which is fine, but it might just light a spark in somebody's ear or mind or heart, and just help them to maybe just start on a path just through learning about something. Like you said, learning, wisdom, knowledge is a wonderful thing. So for our curious listeners out there, can you just explain a little bit about the woo-woo behind the woo-woo, if that makes sense?
The woo behind the woo. I like that. Okay, so everything is energy. So we all have energy. When you wake up in the morning, you can feel that little buzzing around your skin. That's your energy, right? That's when we feel it the most, when we first wake up. And so what happens in your energy directly affects your physical body. And what affects your physical body directly affects your energy, as above, so below. So if we work with energy, we're working in a much more holistic way, because we can, it's a much faster route to, rather than working on mindset or emotions or things like that, we adjust the energy, and then that just sinks into our physical body. So it's a much faster route to it. If I have to try and convince myself, I've got this repetitive thought going over and over and over in my mind, and it's driving me nuts, right? And it's like, look, if I just think positive, it's going to go away. If I do all these things, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I think I saw a study once. Somebody studied the whole thing about affirmations. And I think that was for an affirmation to really work, it was like you had to say it 1,000 times or 10,000 times or something like that, or something nuts. And it's like, this stuff just doesn't work. And we all know it deep down, because we've all tried it. So there has to be a better way. And that way is through the energy. So, it's like so if we go back a little bit more woo-woo, right? And we look at past lives, it's like, okay, so say I was, you know, in a past life, I did this awful thing, or I had this awful experience, and I didn't resolve that. That still sits in my body, in my energy field somewhere. And so then that plays out in my physical body. So say, for example, the liver stores a lot of anger in it. You know, if you look at Chinese medicine, which has been around for thousands and thousands of years, they go, yeah, the liver has anger in it. And so all these stories of anger are all sitting in my liver. And so if I can go back to the past life where these stories were created and adjust that timeline, right? That story in that lifetime, adjust it or collapse it, or just have redefine the meaning of it, then so I've had this big trauma, and then I have other traumas that are really similar happen. You know, we've all had, I've lived this, I've done this before, I've done this before. And it's like we get really sick of doing the same thing, but we can't stop it. And that's the problem. It's like, I know I'm doing it and I know I shouldn't be, but I can't stop doing it. And so this is where the energy part comes in. So if I can go back to the originating source of that trauma and adjust it, then it collapses all of these and adjusts all of these. So then I can move forward without these repetitive karmic patterns. So I guess that's sort of how I would say the energy part of it works. But that sounds a really bit complicated. It's actually really simple. And I want to just take it back to its simplicity, because people overcomplicate things, and transformation is actually really simple if you know how to do it right. You know, I don't, you know, I could say that maybe some people, you know, teach a complicated way and have done, because, you know, it's like, well, you've got to come to me because it's so complicated, right? Or maybe it's because they don't really sit and think about what they're really doing. Like, is this the right way of doing it? They just regurgitate what they're told. And I'm you know, I'm not about that at all. I've really sat deeply with all these things. That's how I've gone, there's got to be a better way. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't work, but how about this? And so I've really tried and tested it on myself and thousands of people. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this, and it just gets, and the more I sit with it, the simpler it gets, you know. So if we look at the gift of being human, because I think nobody thinks there's a gift in being human. It's like, oh, this is a bit of a curse, isn't it? You can't get out of this one. Why'd I sign up for this? But it's, I don't know how woo-woo I can go, but I'm going to go there. So we all know there's other planets, right? And other beings on other planets, right? Okay, we're going to go there anyway.
Yeah, we can go there. We can definitely know it's a huge cosmos, not only our solar system, the universe we live in is huge. So it's absolutely impossible for us to say this. We are the only creatures, human beings, or living entities in the whole wide world. So yeah, go there.
Okay, we're going there. So the gift of being human is that we are the only being with the only race of beings with the full range of emotions. We have joy, we have pain, we have, like, you name it, we have all of them. We're the only ones with that. And that's amazing. We can fully experience, it gives us freedom to be ourselves. I really feel this thing. I really am angry. We know what that's like. But in having this full range of emotions, it enables us to rapidly grow. So it's through our emotions that we evolve and transform. So if I feel this anger, I need to move through it. And moving through this pain and suffering helps me to evolve rapidly. So it's through this full range of emotions, we have the gift of transformation and really understanding ourselves better. Because really, when it comes down to it, it's about understanding yourself better. So that's the gift of emotions. But another thing we have as humans is we have a direct line to source, the universe, God, fill in the blank, whatever you want to call it. So we have a direct line to it. We are the only ones that have that. Right? So on one hand, we've got these emotions which can be a bit heavy and painful, but yet we have a way out of it through this direct connection to source. So we've got all these amazing gifts that no other beings have. And so if we just sat for a moment and thought about how resilient we are. Like, I look at humans, they fall, pick themselves back up again, and they keep going. And that's amazing. Like, come on. How incredible is just that? How watching people fall and get back up and fall. And I'm just like, you're amazing. I know people who fall a lot and they still keep getting back up. And like, humans are incredible. So if we just take a moment to recognize the beauty in the gift that we've been given of this body and being here on this planet, it's just, it kind of takes your breath away. And then you just go, okay. So really, if you can look at things in a much bigger picture, you don't have to necessarily keep trying and I've got to do this more healing, I've got to do more healing. But if you can see things from a bigger picture, you actually just naturally step into it rather than having to put in a lot of effort.
Wow, that's quite something for first thing in the morning, but it's wonderful. And I love how you describe it, and I love that you've shared how that the gift of being human. I love the way that you say that. I mean, humanness is one of my favorite words. It's been a word for the year, last year and this year. Humanness is something that I am so passionate about. And when you say the gift of being human, I think, yeah, that's just humanness wrapped in a little pretty bow. So I love how you describe that and have shared how amazing humans are. I mean, humans can create, we can laugh, we can cry, we can hug, there's so much that we can do. And like you said, yes, we fall and pick ourselves up, but look back in history at the beauty that's been created from somebody's imagination or mind. These beautiful pictures, Michelangelo, these amazing buildings like the Sistine Chapel, and that's about as far as I can think at the moment. But there's so much beauty or innovation or things have been created just from someone's imagination, someone's mind, and it just reiterates how powerful humans are. And it is a gift, as you said. It can sometimes feel like a gift that's been thrown into a mud pile and stood on. It's like, yeah, there we go, you're done. But it's not. I mean, we've had guests describing us as a diamond, but diamonds have that mud and coal around it. You really got to look for the diamond. I think that's what humans are, is that diamond with all
But
those years
it takes a
or
lot of pressure
layers
to
of
create a
trauma.
diamond, doesn't it?
Sorry?
Takes a lot of pressure to create a diamond.
It does, but boy, is it beautiful. But it's also, it's all that, like you said, the layer upon layer of trauma, of experiences from past lives that we bring with us. It's also, ancestral stuff that we bring with us from our parents, from our grandparents, that feeds through, and we have all this baggage, all these layers that don't necessarily help us. I think some help, but some of it just drags us down, and it can be quite difficult to find out or to learn what's mine, what's my mother's, what's my grandmother's, what's ancestral, what's cultural, what's political, what's what, but how to really start to tap into almost finding yourself in all this layers of gunk, I'm going to say. So can you share with us a few really simple tools that somebody can start with? They might be feeling the layers upon them, but it's like, okay, I know I've got all this stuff, I know, but yeah, where do I start, or how can I start? I mean, yeah, one of the things would be to connect with people like yourself, but sometimes, I don't know, myself and Lenka, we sometimes just like to start with ourselves and then reach out. So for our listeners who might think, yeah, it's all very well, fixing yourself, but what can I do for me now, today?
Well, there's lots of things you can do. So first of all, I think the most important thing is self-love. And I think that we do love wrong. Most people look for validation. They seek love from others. And it's like, and everybody's got this confused view of love. So they aren't able to give love unconditionally. So it's pretty crazy to think, okay, I want love from you, but you aren't able to give it the way I need it. So then I'm going to be even more confused about love in doing that. So this whole approach that we've got to love doesn't work. And there is a new kind of love, which is love 2.0. And it's allowing love from source, not receiving, allowing. I allow it. It's got a very different feel, allowing rather than receiving, right? So I have a free self-love meditation on my website, bodyflowenergetics.org, that I give to people. You can just sign up for it. That's a really nice place to start. But I think it's also, I'll give you a really great little tool right now. This is one I call energetic bench presses. And what it is most people, probably most of the people watching this anyway, are empaths, and they just feel everybody's stuff really strongly, right? And so what they're doing, their energy is quite closed in. They're drawing in all this stuff from other people. And it's like heavy and it weighs you down. So your energy's, taking in. And what we want is the energy to go out and become bigger and expand outwards, to have more space between the particles. That's what we want. So it's not so weighed in and so heavy, right? So this is really simple. I'm all about bite-sized changes. If it takes longer than 5 or 10 minutes to do it, I ain't going to do it. Right? So that's what I'm about. And so this is a really simple one. This is great first thing in the morning. And it's so, like I said, you feel your energy buzzing around your skin first thing in the morning. So you feel that. And so it's like, we do bench presses. We work out our physical body. We might even do exercises for our mind, but we don't do exercises for our energy. And this is a really cool one. So simple. So what you do is you feel into your energy first thing in the morning and you literally push it out. And you can feel it, all right? Because it's best first thing in the morning. Like I said, just from every area, just pushing it outwards. So you're training your energy to move outwards. You're training it to go outwards rather than absorbing everybody else's stuff. And there's lots of reasons why you do that. It usually comes from early childhood where you didn't feel like you existed. That's usually where it came from. But so we can retrain it. I exist. I'm valid. I'm a person with a lot to offer. I know that now. Why am I still trapped in this little person's way of thinking? So it's like, no, I'm changing that. And you're taking action. And I've just gotten goosebumps as I said that. You always know when you're onto something when you get goosebumps, right? So that's it. Just simply every morning push your energy out. And you can use your hands to begin with. And then after a while, when you've got the hang of it, you can actually just do it with your mind. You can literally push it out every direction with your mind. So there's a neat little trick to help expand your energy so you don't feel weighed down and exhausted and full of stress and trauma. You're giving yourself more space.
Ooh, we love that. We love a simple, easy, quick thing that doesn't require us buying a subscription. It doesn't mean us we have to go out of our way to do that. I love the simplicity of, but we also understand the metaphor that you use because, be it squats that we use, be it push-ups, be it bench presses, we know these terms. We go to gym, we know that building a muscle mass is important. But I love that you use this metaphor to then bring us into the energetic. So thank you so much for sharing it. I think it's a wonderful little tidbit for our listeners. So at the beginning, you touched on a couple of the examples of people that you helped heal. And I would love for you to allow us maybe a few more insights into, what kind of people come to you? What are the challenges that you help people with? I know it's a huge range, but maybe there will be some patterns and maybe there will be some really out there examples where people might feel like there's no help for me. The traditional medicine is not helping. All the modalities I've tried are not helping. I'm desperate because I'm really like there's something seriously going wrong. I need help. So do you have a couple examples for us?
Oh, I have those. When I first started out, I was invited to work at an integrative medical clinic, and the woman who owned the clinic, she was a doctor, and she had kinesiologists and naturopaths and all sorts of people there, and she specialized in chronic health issues. So my beginnings were chronic health issues. So I think one of my first client was had multiple personalities, and another one was suicidal, had tried to kill himself 7 times. So I was thrown in the deep end. So I have lots. So I've worked with a lot of people with serious health issues. And I think the biggest thing that I get is people go, I've been to the doctors and they're saying there's nothing wrong with me. I think I just want to address that for 1 second. They've done lots of studies on the testing of bloods and things like that. And they came out and the results were about 10 to 15% accuracy. Right. So the tests aren't accurate. And there's a number of reasons why, because you've got to do it multiple times. You're different at different times of day and, things like that. So there's a lot of reasons why the testing is not great. So that's why the doctors don't know what's wrong with you, because their testing's not accurate. I mean, there's other reasons, because that they're starting to realize that most people with cancer is they actually have just a parasite, a really deadly, nasty parasite, but it's just a parasite, so they're treating it wrongly. So medical science is starting to see new reasons behind issues that people in Chinese medicine or whatever might have known for thousands of years. So I think that's really important to know. So the reason why people haven't been able to progress further is because of the testing, because of the outdated way of seeing the issues. But I think when we look at energy, we look at it very holistically. We look at the mind, we look at the emotions, we look at the energy, we look at the physical body, we look at every aspect of it, because it seems crazy to me to only look at one area. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, if I've got a heart issue, it's also going to be a mind issue, because my mind controls my heart, right? So I need to look at all of these things. And if I've got energy of emotion stored in there, then I need to look at that too. So so I think that's really important to look at. So if I talk about some of the clients I've had, gosh, I've had so many amazing ones. I had this one girl, she had extreme eczema, like really severe eczema. And I gave her a session, and a little bit of funny twist to it. And her eczema, sometimes this happens. Sometimes things get worse before they get better, right? Sometimes they just get better, but sometimes they get worse. And so I think I like to tell this story because it's it's realistic. People just expect to get better, but it's not how it works. She got really bad. Her eczema was so extreme, and she was scratching and she was bleeding. It was horrific. She ended up going to the hospital, and they just gave her some antibiotics, and within 3 days the eczema had gone, and I mean fully gone. It never ever came back. So it's like she had to go through this releasing process of it all coming out. So it became really extreme, and it was really heightened and horrible. And then it was completely gone. And she'd had it for, I don't know, probably most of her life, right? So these are the kinds of things that can happen. But it's not a magic pill either. It's like, yes, people feel things instantly with me. Like I can go, oh, they've got a sore back, and then I'll do something, and it'll take me, like I work very quickly. Within a couple of minutes, they're like, oh, I don't feel that anymore. So that can happen, but it's like you have to take aligned action. You need to make an effort, change your life. And the people who do the most work get the better results.
It's like that with it, with everything. It's really is about aligned action, but it's also about taking responsibility for yourself, is looking at ways and not just relying on the doctor to diagnose you and give you some pills. I mean, it's not that some of them don't work, but it is about looking deeper. You go to the doctor with a pain in your shoulder, that's all they look at. They don't look at, well, could it be because of the way that you walk, or look at your legs, or look at your back, or look at also, the whole body. You're just a little part of a body, and that's normally where the symptoms is. It's not the cause. The symptoms and the cause aren't always in the same place. So it is, as you said, it is about taking action. It's taking about the right aligned action, but it's also taking responsibility and really looking after yourself, and not relying on somebody else to fix you or look after you. So I just wanted to share that.
Yes, I totally agree. It's about honesty, being really brutally honest with yourself. The more honest with yourself you are, the more you transform, the more you're willing to go, do I really believe what I just said? Do I really believe that thing I think? And the more you can question that, the more rapidly you will move through whatever health issues or emotional issues or whatever it is, whatever is stopping you from being that person that you have the capability of being, but you're just not.
Hop on to our Patreon account to get this episode's amazing and wonderful gold nugget. Now, for our listeners, if they've been listening and they're thinking, you know what, I really want to see what this woman is up to. I want to be in her circle. I want to connect. I have a friend I need to connect. Where can people find you?
Okay, so you can go to my website, bodyflowenergetics.org, or I'm on Facebook, Kamina.Fulwood, which is really difficult and no one will know how to spell, which is Kemina, and my surname is Fulwood, Fulwwood. So Kamina.Fulwood on Facebook. You can find me on those places. I'm also on YouTube and other places, but go to them and you can track me down.
And all your links will be down in the description, so they can then just click on the link that they're looking for. So thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your evening with us, being in Australia and us being in Europe. It's morning for us, evening for you. So thank you very much for sharing your energy, for sharing your time and your experience and knowledge with us today, because this and helping our listeners to maybe find a way to have more life in their life through connecting with their energy, to finding more about how amazing energetic people they are. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here with us today.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed chatting and getting to know you, beautiful women. I love the work that you do, and it's keep doing it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And we plan to keep doing it. So thank you so
Good.
much. For our listeners, what have you got from today? Is this borderline woo-woo for you and you're thinking, whoa, this is crazy. We've talked past lives, we've talked energy. Or is this something that you're thinking, you know what, I'm hearing more about this, I'm starting to be fascinated about it. I want to learn more. I'm learning more. We would love to know your thoughts, what you thought, any aha moments you've had from the episode today that we've spoken about. Was this something that you just want to share with us, an experience that you've had, or your thoughts on woo-woo? Is it for you or isn't it for you? And both are okay. And until next time, we'll chat to you soon. Bye.